Hi YouTube, it's Saturday, January 10th. It was a very cold night last night. It got down to like, I think 6. No, I think the news said 4. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a cold start on the Torino and kind of an update on the whole E85 thing. And I want to clear a few things up too. First off, let's see what the temperature is in here. We're going to kind of do... This will be, well, it's 32 in here, but it's still in the 20s out there, and it got down to the single digits last night. So we're going to see if this thing will start. Now I'm going to tell you what all has gone on with that car since the last video. If you remember, I did an update. We swapped some jets, went with even richer jets than we originally did in the first video. And since then, let me tell you what all has happened. I ended up going back down a little bit in jet size. It was a little bit too big, I felt, and I did have some troubles. Like I said, this is a test. I was not saying that I was going to be able to do this and just leave it in the car and not have any troubles. It's kind of a test, see what happens, keep an eye on it. And let me turn on the light. Just keep an eye on it and see what we got to do to deal with the problems if we want to run this fuel. So, let me see. I should have went back and looked at all my videos and actually, so that I could remember the actual amount of time the car sat with the fuel in it, and which I've been driving it. But let me think here. Originally, the car had about 5 gallons of fuel in it, and if you remember right, I just put 10 gallons of E85 in it. Drove it, had to richen it up, liked it. I think the following 2 weeks I didn't have very many troubles, and I jetted up some more. And I added more E85 to it, so it's pretty much was all E85 at that time. Well, now I'm going to be completely honest with you. Everything didn't go exactly perfect, which I didn't say it would. I don't want to mislead anybody into thinking that all is perfect. But what happened was, about 2 or 3 weeks later, and as I already mentioned, E85, ethanol, the ethanol in it will absorb moisture. Everybody knows that. All the research you do on it, everybody knows that. And the reason some racers like it is for the octane. So, here's what happened. Car sat for a couple weeks. I think I started up maybe once a week, but I didn't drive it. But it got stubborn. You could tell there was water in the fuel, moisture in it. But once I would get it started, and whatever, and the carburetor emptied itself, and whatever came out of the tank, it was fine. A couple weeks after that, it got extremely stubborn. So, okay, it absorbed moisture. Carburetor still looked good. I took it apart and looked at it. What I ended up doing, let me find my keys here. I put 5 gallons of regular pump gas back in it. 93 octane, just regular pump gas. But remember, this is Louisville, Kentucky, and most pumps say it on the pump. You're a regular, unleaded, if it's 87, 89, or 92 octane, maybe it's 93, contains, it says it right on the pump, contains 10% or less ethanol. So we're getting ethanol here in Louisville, whether you like it or not. Now, what I ended up doing, I put that in, and I also bought something that is supposed to be very good for stabilizing fuel. And it also has a de-ice and anti-gel. And I think the real troubles I was having, I did have some moisture in it. Maybe not enough to keep the car from... Maybe it was enough to make the car a little stubborn to start, but it was extremely cold, so we had some icing. Okay, it got down to 6 degrees last night. With all being said that I told you, let's see how this thing starts. And before I start, I want you to remember, I have no choke on this 850 double pumper, so I'm going to pump the crap out of it and see if it will fire up and run. Normally, when you cold start this car with no choke, you pump it a lot, see if it'll fire, but let it idle. You can't rev it up when it's cold. It's just going to pop until it gets a little heat in it. So let's try it. It's 9 big squirts. Turn on the pump, ignition. Try the fire. Let's pump it a little more. A little stubborn, which it was 6 last night. Okay. Very stubborn. Okay. I was really hoping it'd start a little easier than this. I don't really want to open the throttle because there we go. There it's going to start. Yeah, I know it sounds bad, but it's starting. And it's just stubborn because it has no choke. Come on, baby, keep running. There we go. We're just going to let it do its thing, get some heat in the cylinders. And when it's running like this, when it's really, really cold, and this car's been sitting for over a week too. There it goes. There you go. It's going to start running. It's going to take it a while, but it'll get some heat in it. I'll go ahead and turn the fan on. It won't come on until the thermostat tells it to. But there you go. Now we'll get a little steam off the headers. Sometimes it's quite a lot. So there you go. There's your like I said, we're not all E85 in the tank, but we're, let's just say 2/3. 15-gallon tank. We had 10 gallons of E85, and we put 5 gallons of 93 octane pump fuel in it. So yeah, in extreme weather, it's probably a good idea to mix it. But this is just to let you show you, if you deal with it and you put the additives in it, it's not as destructive of a fuel as people are saying. And something else I want to make very clear is due to a comment a guy made. Actually, a guy, I follow his channel. I like him a lot from what I've seen of his videos. Fun, seems like a fun guy to work on cars with. I really enjoy watching his videos. But he made a big, long comment about don't do this, don't do that. I don't think I even read it all. Probably should have, but I didn't. I want to make it clear, I did not put it in my tractor. I did not put it in my chainsaws. I would never, ever put E85 fuel in anything that's going to be stored and not started all winter, just like chainsaws, lawnmowers, tractors, all that stuff. And plus, like I said in the beginning, when you put E85 in something, you have to have a way to richen it up. I tested out on this car because this car with the Holley 4-barrel is very easy to richen up by changing jets. Like the carburetor on my tractor, which is in here. I forgot what kind of carburetor is on that thing. Wouldn't you know it's on the other side. And while this little tent is like a greenhouse, it is actually warm in here. It is very cold outside. But like this little carburetor, I'm not going to do what it takes to richen that up. I mean, you'd have to do some trick work that I would be capable of figuring out and doing, but I'm not going to do that because I don't use that much fuel. And my main reason for E85 is for an alternative to racing fuel, not everyday use. I'm not going to put it in my Ranger because I would have to do some, probably buy a chip and maybe bigger injectors, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. I'm not going to do all that. And as you can see, the Torino, it's set. I haven't started it since last weekend. It got down to 2 degrees Thursday and 6 degrees last night. And we have 2/3 of E85 with about 1/3 of a tank of 93 octane. And we did use the seafoam. I think this stuff really keeps it from absorbing the moisture. Now, if you're going to use this fuel in your car, yes, especially in wintertime, put a de-icer in it. I wouldn't recommend. And if you're going to use it in a smaller engine, hey, if you want to go through the trouble of richening up, that's great. That's great. But if you're going to store it, drain it, or put regular fuel back in it. I just wanted to clear that up. Thanks for watching. Just want to let you know the old Torino still surviving. And we'll do a video later on, and we'll see if it ruins my carburetor, as someone said. Thanks for watching.